John Marshall.
So hold on, I'm right here with my good friend, my civil society activist, Allan. What's your last name? Tomasosse. And we're talking about democracy and change, the deep history of the ruling class ideology, self-plan for America. And so this man is very knowledgeable. He's one of my mentors. I really look forward in dialoguing with him. He really illuminates me, and so he got something to share with members of the public, because we want to be able to illuminate members of the public in our public discourse. He's a political man, he's a working man, and he's a good man. He has a good heart. Go ahead and share with us what you're telling me.
Well, what I was saying was, yes, Calhoun, and I don't know really the theoretics of Calhoun, and I realize a lot of the stuff that the right is creating right now is coming from Calhoun. It's coming from the South, from the states' rights belief and everything. But you've got to go back and look at the British. There was different schools of thought in our War of Independence. Burke and went back to the Chief Justice Coke, the time of the Elizabethans, and basically said these are the rights of citizenry, and they expanded the to property rights from the peasants to the in other words, the class that bought a lot of the land, the emerging class of artisans and workers who bought part of the land in Britain and became part of the Parliament. But most of the Parliament was the House of the people that owned the land. So by the time of the American independence, you had half of the Parliament was basically new property owners and merchants and artisans and people the bourgeois, so you expanded. That was the way democracy worked, was expanding the property rights, and the personal rights, the First Amendment rights. All those things that came from the aristocrats trying to steal more land from the bourgeois, the people who had bought some of the land, and the agricultural people were left out in the cold, the people that were the peasants, They had to raise themselves, and that's how it worked. But basically, Marshall, when we got independence, Marshall created as best as I can understand, I don't understand this stuff very much, Bill of Rights, and Marshall continued this trajectory through the 19th century, and the Supreme Court continued it, even though they couldn't deal with Negro slavery. So you get the War of 1812, and the British are still kind of in a haze saying, we want it back, we want to, so geographically I'm talking about, so by the time you get to the Civil War, nothing was decided. You might have these Southern theoreticians, but you also had Northern theoreticians like Marshall, who created this apparatus of law, which it's hard to say, but by the 1812, by 1860, you had Maximilian on one side with Mexico, with the French. They wanted to invade. The English wanted to invade from Canada, and that happened to the end of the Civil War.
I want to say this, but my battery's running low. I just want to be able to say this, Allan. I really enjoy dialoguing with you. I want to let members of the public know this is a beautiful man. I love talking to a whole host of wonderful people in my soul struggles. This is a man that has very illuminated me. He's very conscious. He's very aware. This man has always had his eye on me because he knows that, hey, I have a lot of potential, but he's a great man because he's constantly feeding me, helping me. I love talking to him. He just helps me in all aspects, and I'm influenced by his leadership. I'm influenced by his understanding of what's going on in the political realm. So, Allan, in a nutshell, what's going on right now in the United States between the left and right?
We're divided. We're divided.
And how can we bring healing?
I don't know. You don't want to divide us. You don't want to exacerbate. You don't want to exaggerate and exacerbate. You don't want extremes in this country.
Okay.
Because we've had them from the very beginning, and they
are we polarizing right now? Is Donald Trump polarizing? Or do you fear Donald Trump?
Yeah, it doesn't.
How do you feel as a voter?
He will. I don't know. But it's bad. It looks bad. But you're going to have to. You've got to watch the gerrymandering, and that's the killer of the whole thing. The right's trying to influence the gerrymandering. In other words,
redistricting. So that we have to be mindful that we can't let these anti-democratic forces hijack the gerrymandering procedure and allow the ruling class ideology to continue to usurp all benefits and privilege of government. We got to stand together. Politics is about a political life together, and we got to stand together up against this diabolical, hegemonic vortex of evil that's sucking us all down into the abyss of rootless hedonism. I would say is what one thing that you want to be able to tell members of the public, as an older man, as a very politically conscious individual, politically active individual, what would you want to tell members of the public?
You have to go inside yourself and decide.
I like that.
And have knowledge of yourself, of how you relate to it all. You know, that kind of thing. You have one vote, and you have a strength. The Democrats have a great strength to right the situation as it stands, but it's got to go through the voting box. So that's how we are.
So I want to let members of the public know that Allan is a good friend. I dialogue with him all the time at the library. We have great conversations. They're always politically stimulating. He charges me, gets me to focus on things that I need to focus on. He's very illuminating, and he's a very compassionate man. Now, the vote in going inward and seeing how it all relates, is it our social relationships between different classes of people, different groups of people? Is that what you're talking about when you say journey inward, how we relate to one another?
The Democrats have followed pretty well. Okay, if you look, in other words, since Roosevelt, and that was almost like I said, that there was a class war in the 20s. It would have been, Hoover said, the business of America is business. Way long time before Roosevelt. Okay, so that's just us. You've got to, and you have to look at our democratic institutions. A lot of countries don't even have institutions. We have institutions. They have to be reborn. They have to be maintained. They have to, and it's hard to do that. So I would have too much distraction. So that kind of thing.
Yeah. But I would say you're absolutely right. Allan is absolutely right. We have to improve the democratic mechanism or the political process so that all are able to advance the equal advancement of either individual or class interests, so that we're all benefiting from our government. Government set up to help civilization and help us survive, right?
Yes.
And what is your apprehension? What makes you very apprehensive as you go to sleep in the night? What are you concerned about as an older man, as a Caucasian, and living in Scotts Valley? What are you concerned about?
The earth. The earth is not going. The mother is not going to be able to support us much longer. We're going. Our ecology. We have just basically denied it. And all of us, Democrats and Republicans, have denied this. You can't. We're rearranging the chairs on the Titanic.
I like that. That's a good one. And I want to say this. I want you guys to take heed. This is a wise old man, and he's I love his take on politics, because he speaks liberating truth to political power. Go ahead. Okay. So they're rearranging the seats on the Titanic. That's very good. And who's getting thrown off?
We don't know. It's gonna. Who knows? But it's who knows? You know.
So
you can't. That kind of thing.
So I want to be able to tell members of the public, thank you, Allan. I do appreciate the dialogue. We're going to continue this dialogue off camera because my battery's dying, and I do appreciate my encounters with you. I want to be able to memorialize this and just know that I love talking to a wonderful class of people. And this man it takes time. He's a working man. What type of work do you do?
Carpentry.
He's a carpenter, like Jesus, right? And he has a compassionate heart. And how long did you work carpentry?
All my life.
But I got to say this, when he's in the library, man, he reads really profound books. He reads like all about the